Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is James Vermont here, recording on a new microphone. Do you hear that? Do you like the not horrifyingly terrible quality this time? I mean, it's a step up. It's an improvement. We're getting fancy on this channel here. Anyway, okay, so we like to bitch a lot about this channel, especially on our regular podcast, The Break Room. So I decided that I was going to go into slightly more detail this time. One of the things that we've regularly bitched about is Destiny. Yep. Both Skybolt and I have regularly bitched about both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. But instead of just bitching, I thought I'd sit down and try write my own version of the Destiny 2 story. Destiny 2 had some really good ideas here and there. It just kept making missteps in plot and pacing, or forgetting what it was about. So rather than regularly just bitching about it, I want to say how I would have written Destiny 2. Some quick disclaimers first. I'm not doing this to insult the writers or staff of Destiny 2. I am just a 22-year-old audio drama and animation writer. I don't know about the writing of games or writing in that kind of environment. There might be a ton of reasons that my choices here could be considered idiotic. Number 2, I'm writing this under the assumption that everything I write would be accepted into the production pipeline and would be something that's capable of being reproduced in game form. With whatever budgetary and time restrictions that the crew had. Number 3, I'm writing this without the pressure of needing to please massive Destiny fanbase. I'm writing this because I kinda can. Destiny 2's story seemed to be focused on the nature of heroism, self-sacrifice, earning power and glory, failure, consequences. There's a lot of themes to discuss, and in my mind it becomes part of what needs to be trimmed. For the sake of simplicity, I'm only going to focus on failure and consequences for this retelling of Destiny 2. Slight touches here and there about the nature of heroism, but like the smallest sprinklings. Next up, going to non-Earth planets? That's out. I'll explain why later. Next, the weird Death Star thing, that is definitely out. And in my version, your player character speaks. Seriously, that might be the dumbest thing the new Destiny did. Alright, cool. We good? Good. We open up in the tower. Not onto the Vanguard, but instead on a Guardian. Your Guardian from Destiny 1, training another, younger Guardian. The D1 Guardian talks about some of his or her adventures in the past and how they succeeded through perseverance and hope. The two then try out another training exercise, this time sparring. It's clear that the Destiny 1 Guardian is eons ahead of the younger Guardian. They clash, they fight, but every single time the Destiny 1 Guardian wins, because of course they do. The younger Guardian complains that victory over such an experienced, powerful opponent is impossible. The Destiny 1 Guardian disagrees, saying that hope is a great motivator. It's how you defeat even the most powerful foes. However, things are interrupted when the Red Legion attack the tower, and the camera puts you in the perspective of the young Guardian. This is who you're going to play in this level. You fight your way through the tower, sometimes with the Destiny 1 Guardian helping you, sometimes by yourself. When you're by yourself, you always bump into members of the Vanguard, saving them from scrapes, and often being instructed by them to locate the Destiny 1 Guardian. Get them to a spot where Holiday can pick them up. Once you meet Zavala, he's taking on an entire army by himself. He's doing this to protect civilians, to help them get into an escape shuttle so that they can escape the city, escape the tower, get to help. And in doing so, unfortunately, Zavala is wounded and killed. At this point, we're framing things in a more serious light. See, something that I think a lot of writers forget is the importance and effect of marketing. The marketing campaign for Destiny 2 was massive. By the time we went into Destiny 2, I'd say 98% of the fanbase knew that you were going to lose the city and lose your light. That was something that was established. So when you get kicked off of the ship by Gaul, and when they're like, oh no, you've lost your light, oh no, we've been thrown out of the city, a lot of that weight is lost because we already knew that going in. That was something, that was a piece of setup that everyone knew going in. So what this does is this finds a way of adding a sense of seriousness, a twist, and a raising of the stakes by removing something from you that wasn't part of the marketing, that the audience isn't entirely 100% aware of. The audience would have gone in expecting to lose the city, they would have gone in expecting to lose their light, they would not have gone in expecting, oh shit, one of the Vanguard just fucking died. Anyway, Holiday arrives and the game transfers control back to your Destiny 1 Guardian. And it's... You are back in the saddle, you are at full power. You get to blast through the Cabal and the Red Legion capital ship, and they barely make a dent in you. It is nothing for you to swipe them aside, disable the ship, and get back to the top. This is this is who you were. This is who you were at the end of Destiny 1. This is a legendary Guardian who has achieved the height of his or her powers. And then, when you get to the top of the ship, you meet Gaul for the first time. You're put into a fight with Gaul and dozens of other Cabal, who keep coming at you in more and more waves. They whittle down your health until finally, you're beaten. Gaul knocks you, beaten, to the edge of his ship. At this point, he disables the Traveler, removing the light from the Guardians. With the ability to revive gone, and beaten by his strength, your Guardian is unable to survive as Gaul kicks them off the ship. And they fall to their death. Cut to title screen. Destiny 2. Let me explain why I prefer this version. In this new version of the story about failure and consequences, it's important to establish stakes. The Red Legion don't kill a single member of the core cast in their opening assault. I mean, yeah, they toss you out their home, but there was no real character to the city or the Traveler. It's not nearly as high stakes as it could have been. In this story, not only do they kill Zavala, but they kill your Guardian, whom you've spent a long time growing and cultivating, who has achieved these massive victories. And yet, I know this would be a risky move. I know that on release, many fans would probably really hate this move, and I completely get that. It's a polarizing choice. It might be even considered disrespectful to your previous Guardian character to have them be beaten and killed. But this is what we're moving forward with in this version of the story. That's the nice thing about these hypothetical situations, is that I know that I'm not going to be pissing off fans by killing their Guardians, so I do have the freedom to make that choice. You're now stuck in the shoes of the younger Guardian, who you were playing as right at the beginning of the game, and you're faced with an army so powerful that they defeated your mentor, one of the most powerful Guardians in history, a Guardian who you could not even come close to keeping up with when you were sparring. You're forced to sneak through the remains of the city. Everywhere around you there are Cabal kill squads taking down Guardians, with you being too weak to try and help. Maybe at some point you even try to free a trapped Guardian, who instantly rushes several Cabal only to be instantly mowed down. Maybe at some point you even try to free a trapped Guardian, who instantly rushes several Cabal only to be mown down quickly. The consequences of heroism indeed. You finally reunite with your ghost and begin your walk away from the city, but instead of the constant fading in, fading out that Destiny 2 does in this sequence, your walk away is entirely in real time. Sometimes you run into groups of Guardians or civilians, and you've got to protect them from threats, tense at the potential loss of their life or yours. Eventually, you and the civilians are cornered by the Cabal. You attempt to fight them, but it looks like you're going to be overwhelmed. Just before that happens, several ships fly overhead, snipers taking potshots and clearing out the space for you. Just in time, you and the civilians have been rescued. In the ship, you find new character Hawthorne and Iron Lord Saladin? Saladin? Okay, we're calling him Lord Salad from now on. So, over here, we're going to begin our second major departure from Destiny 2's story. We are not leaving Earth in this campaign. Sure, after the primary story ends, we can, add in more planets for extra content, extra missions, and so on. But for the primary campaign storyline, this is about Guardians almost being wiped out on their doorstep and losing their home on Earth. This is a story about Earth. Hawthorne and Lord Salad take you to the farm, an outpost that Hawthorne had set up recently for people who didn't like living under the city and under the protection of the Guardians. She found the tower leadership to be a little too high and mighty for their own good. She hasn't seen any Guardians walking the streets of the city in years, and lost much respect for them when she realized the Vanguard were relying on one single Guardian to get most of their work done for them. Lord Salad explains that the fortress of the Iron Lords has also been destroyed. We see him being furious, not only at seeing his home defiled again, but also at the failure of the Guardians to hold their ground. Much like the Iron Lords, Guardians are on the brink of destruction. Lord Salad goes to make sure the defences of the farm are up to scratch, and Hawthorne takes you aside, asking you to recon a near shard of the Traveller that had fallen nearby during the fall of the Golden Age. She says that she had sent several members of her militia there, and that they seem to have gone missing. So, you go on to your next mission. going toward the Shard of the Traveler, where you find the militia. You rescue them, but they all seem to be giving you a bit of the cold shoulder on account of you being a guardian. However, the situation forces you and the militia to work together. You earn their respect, and they help you learn how to fight without relying on your light. However, at the end of the mission, when you reach the Shard of the Traveler, some of your light is returned to you, and whilst it's a happy moment, you're still only a young guardian with partial light. You aren't an all-powerful savior right now, which is something that you're forced to admit to the militiamen. When you return to the farm, you discover that Lord Salad has left, abandoning you in his own dismay. Now you are the most experienced fighter in the farm, and it's up to you to ready the militia for the fight yet to come. You're tasked with training several militiamen, including some of the ones you had met earlier. You go out on a training mission and you teach them a series of tactics against the Cabal. However, you make a bad judgment call, getting too overconfident because of your new light powers, and as a result, several of the soldiers under your command are killed needlessly. It's a quiet, difficult moment for your character. Yes, they've succeeded, and yes, they had gained the respect of the militiamen, but there's this wake-up call, this reminder that you are a young new guardian. You're not the all-powerful hero that your mentor used to be, that you as the player used to be back in Destiny 1. And it's a reminder, in case you had somehow forgotten, that this is not going to be an easy time for your characters. There are going to be consequences. The cost of victory is sacrifice. But your time to mourn is cut short, as a distress call comes in from Cade 6, who is cornered with a group of lightless guardians. They're all stuck in an old complex that used to be used for developing experimental tech during the Golden Age. You need to use this tech, like teleporters, anti-gravity, time distortion, whatever, to navigate the complex and save Cade, who explains that he and his delighted hunters were going to use one of the teleporters to get to goal and kill him. But without the light, once they were caught, they were unable to fight the way they used to. They weren't able to hold their ground. Cade, on his own, remembers a time when hunters used to stick to the shadows, reconning, planning, bombing rather than directly hitting a target with brute firepower. You ask Cade if he still remembers how to do all that, and after a moment he says yes. So you ask him to teach you, as your training was never completed. The hunters and militia head back to the farm whilst Cade takes you through the wilds, teaching you how to survive and play the hunter style. We get to see his philosophy of surprise attacks, hiding your goals behind red herrings, and how to defeat a larger force through small, focused attacks. He agrees that he's been too overzealous lately, he and his hunters, and they shouldn't be trying to go after the goal directly. The hunters will now attack key targets that are less defended to slowly prick at Gaul's defenses. And you can even use this to open up like a whole set of extra side quests, like just additional side missions where you join hunters to do like stealth missions, attacking some of Gaul's extra defenses. Wouldn't that be cool? Like just a nice little, every now and then you want to change in gameplay, you want to play your missions a little bit more stealth based, you want to play that kind of stuff. Alright, cool, let's go play one of the hunter missions then. Nice little, I don't know, it feels like a nice little add-on. When you return to the farm, you discover that the guardians who were there before you want to go to the Shard to regain their powers, but Hawthorne and the militia won't let them. They refuse to have their agency taken away by the guardians, claiming that they can defend against the Cabal without the light. Cade disagrees, saying that purposefully handicapping your side might be nice for the philosophical victory, but no one's gonna philosophize when they're all dead. The argument is interrupted by another distress call, this time from Ikora. You rush off with Cade to investigate. Ikora can be found in an old temple, a place sacred to the Warlocks. Once you find off the Cabal who had been causing the previously mentioned distress, you enter the temple and discover many, many Warlocks reading or meditating or researching. Once you get to the center of the temple, you meet Ikora, who has decided to remove her Warlocks and herself from the fight altogether. Her people used to act as advisors who explored the mystery of the universe. They were not warriors in her mind. They should not continue to be warriors. Her failures in the city now make her believe that this is the new correct choice for Warlocks. They should be scholars and nothing more. Cade is harboring a lot of anger toward Ikora because of this, and he's unable to talk calmly with her. He's unable to get through to her. So he storms off and leaves you to do the talking for him. You ask, instead of that, your character decides to ask her to teach you the warlock way of seeing things, as a reminder that your character was still very young, didn't have a complete set of training, and that if you were to truly lead the fight against the Cabal without the warlocks, at the very least you would like to know how the warlocks fight, how the warlocks see the world. Ikora agrees, and she tasks you with finding a vault, killing its protector, and recovering the hidden knowledge within. But the protector can't be killed by you. It can only be killed in a very specific way. Ikora helps you research this way, teaching you the importance of knowledge and forethought. She teaches you that while you cannot defeat the protector yourself, you can massage events, poke at strings to get the Cabal to attack the protector with a special weapon, to get the Vex to open the locked door, to get the Vex to leave without going inside the vault and causing a lot of trouble. Ikora teaches you to see the big picture. She teaches you to see events and predict them ahead of time based on the facts in front of you. Using that logic, you explain to Ikora that in the big picture, the warlocks won't survive if they don't take part in the conflict. Finally, reluctantly, she agrees with you. Ikora reveals that she'd kind of always really known this. It had been clear to her, but she didn't want to believe it was true. She didn't actually believe that removing herself and her warlocks from the fight would be the right call. She just knew it would be the call to keep them alive. Ikora reveals that really she had just been so scared of losing more Guardians. Ikora had to face her own mortality at this point. When you arrive back at the farm, Ikora agrees that the Guardians should learn to fight without their powers before being allowed to regain the light from the shard. And so the Guardians begin to train with the militiamen, learning to fight the same way that you did. But this doesn't go on for very long, because a Cabal warship has located the farm and is about to attack. Together with the militia and the Guardians, you're able to drive back the Cabal and make it onto the warship. Once you reach the controls, you take the steering and you crash it into the ground, but quite a distance away from the farm. You are now alone, wounded, far from home, far from a lot of your support, and again, you feel almost powerless. But that feeling doesn't last for very long, because very quickly, as you start making your way back to the farm, your allies from the attack begin to find you, begin to help you. Together with your allies, you're able to make your way almost to the edge of the farm. This is where you discover Lord Salad, who has been watching you since you crashed the ship. His distress is broken when he realizes that yes, just having hope isn't enough. It's about having a fire team. It's about having friends that you can count on. Unity breeds hope and gives hope more than just one gun with which to shoot the bad guy. Lord Salad Bowl rejoins you, and he takes Zavala's place as the leader of the vanguard. The Cabal, however, have realized that one of the Guardians has regained their light, and that the source of this is the shard, so they marshal their forces and they move to attack it. You go with the Guardians, the vanguard, and the militia to save the shard, and all the Guardians regain their powers. But before you can celebrate that moment of happiness, you hear a scream. Everyone connected to the light hears a pitched scream. The Traveler is alive, and it's being tortured by Gaul's machines. The Guardians and the Vanguard decide that now is time they took their home back. But before you can do that, your allies are arguing with each other again. They all still blame each other for the failings at the city. Lord Salad blames Cade for not teaching his hunters responsibility. Cade blames Ikora for her wishing her warlocks to be aloof and above it all. And Ikora blames the Titans and Lord Salad for fighting without thinking, without having a plan, rushing in. Your character comes in and points out that all of these problems have something in common. They all forgot the people that they're meant to protect. They all forgot the ideals that they were meant to protect. You tell them they can settle their differences later, but there's no point in arguing over how they're going to run and protect a city if they can't be capable of working together to take it back in the first place. They agree to fight, with a plan being built out of the lessons that you learned from the Vanguard. Ikora examines the big picture. She examines the facts and the research that you've been doing, and she picks out the best targets for Cade and his hunters to attack, to distract Gaul's forces, and give Lord Salad a chance to attack with a unified brute force assault. This method lets you break through the Cabal lines and secure the entrance to the city. The next fight is in the streets, as you take it block by block. Eventually, you come across the body of your mentor, the Destiny 1 player character. You stop to give them a burial. You pay your respects and you take their gun, or helmet or piece of body, or a piece of like cool identifiable body armor as a rite of passage. However, your controlled zones are under threat, and it's clear that the Vanguard is soon going to be overrun. With that known, Ikora gives you a desperate order. The only way to survive this is to reawaken the Traveler, to go to it and to pour your light, to pour everyone's light into it. With that, the Vanguard and the other Guardians transfer their light into your body. Now powered beyond imagining, you tear through the Cabal forces until you come face to face with Gaul himself at the top of the tower. He is impressed that even without their light, the Guardians are still holding their own, a product of your training, a product of their experiences without the light. Gaul has used his machine to steal light from the Traveler. Your fight is a brutal one that destroys anyone that gets too close, like two gods raining fire upon each other and upon the world below them. And every time you whittle Gaul's health down too low, every time his health reaches a certain point, he goes and reactivates the machine. You hear a pitched scream from the Traveler, and while Gaul's health is never restored, his power levels always raise. But someone who has stolen power will never be as strong as someone who has earned that power, and so your Guardian casts Gaul down and rushes to the machine. You give your light to the Traveler. The light of all Guardians is given to the Traveler, and it awakens at last. Using its powers, the Traveler destroys the Red Legions, restores the Guardians to power, and casts away its shackles. The story ends in a moment of quiet hope, as the Guardians and militia rebuild the city, unsure of how to move forward, but filled with joy that they get to move forward at all. In this story, we get to see serious consequences for the actions of our heroes. We get to see Guardians and Vanguard questioning their place in the world. We see a new hero, your hero, being forced to learn their lessons through trial and error by having to seek out and earn that guidance from the Vanguard. By keeping the story on Earth and having the Cabal as the only villains, we keep a focus on the threat. By killing Savala and replacing him with Lord Salad, we not only get to add additional consequences outside the death of your Guardian, but we get to see a different perspective. Lord Salad was the last Iron Lord, the forerunners to the Guardians. The Iron Lords were also wiped to the edge of extinction, so you'd think he'd have some kind of emotional connection to this. You know what? You know what else I think we should do? Fuck it. During the battle, like literally in the middle of the fucking battle, after you've won a victory, the Vanguard should turn to you and say, Guardian, you have earned your place among us. We will now make you a member of the Vanguard. And you can be like, oh, but the Vanguard's meant to be one of three, you know, meant to represent, you need a Vanguard leader for the Hunters, the Warlocks, and the Titans. And they're like, yeah, but let's be honest, the militia are Guardians now. They don't have light, but they have earned the right to be called Guardians. You will be the Vanguard leader for the militia, for the human race, for the civilians that wear no light. I mean, there's a point where you get to ride, where not only, from a power level idea, you haven't reached the absurd levels of power that your Destiny 1 Guardian has, you know? But you've reached something that they didn't get. You became a leader of the Vanguard. You gained respect. You were a leader of men, and a leader of women, leader of alien and of robot, you know, whatever the XO are. There's a victory in that goes above just martial strength, that goes above power fantasy, and that goes into the importance of a good leader, of having good moral philosophy. I wanted the story to present change in the characters, forcing the Vanguard to examine their own beliefs. I want your character to have a personality, a voice. I want them to have an arc. I want to see the character develop. The Traveler's return needs to feel earned. It feels like it had come so absurdly out of nowhere in Destiny 2. It almost felt like it really felt like a Deus Ex Machina. Here, there's sacrifice. Like, yes, the Traveler's returned, and he gives the light back to everyone after you use it to bring him back. But what if that dilutes it? You know, Guardians are weaker now. They don't have as much light. But they've also learned to rely on their physical skills and on each other rather than the light. We can let that fold into the gameplay, give an emphasis on new abilities and skills with no connection at all to light. My belief is that this story is a mature look at the failures of heroism and the importance of unity in the face of great danger. Salad, Cade, and Ikora all have vastly different views on how they should react to their failures, how they should fight back, and what form the world should take after they defeat the Cabal. The only thing stopping them from going their separate ways is that your character unites them under a common goal, getting them to put aside their major and admittedly important issues so that they can focus on a more important goal. That's not just a mature theme, it's a relevant theme to the modern day. It's something that we still grapple with, even now. Am I saying my version is perfect? Dear fucking Christ, no. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could even argue that my version is inferior to the current Destiny storyline. And you know what? I'm welcome to comments. If you think that, if you've got a reason to believe that, leave a comment down below. I want to hear it. This has been an experiment. You know, I wrote one draft of this script, and I'm recording it like 2 hours after finishing writing it, so doubtless there are going to be a ton of errors. But this just seemed more enjoyable than sleeping in all day or recording the super depressing, super serious script I wrote a few days ago that I've been putting off recording because, like I said, it is so depressing and so serious. But I promise I'll record that tomorrow. I really want that to be out before. I really want that to be out before New Year's. I'm sorry, I'm rambling at the end of a video that's not even about the other thing. I'm sorry. Hooray for procrastination. I have no idea what I'm doing. Yay!